Okay, so we'll just move on to the first one, and Chris Ansley. Good morning. Welcome. Oh, somebody needs to switch your mic. Oh, no, it's on now. Thank you.
Making a submission on the Heathcote Valley, the Heathcote Expressway, and I'm hoping to contribute to the argument to bringing it forward back to this year or next year. I live in Heathcote and have 2 kids in Heathcote Valley Primary School, and think Heathcote's a really great place. And I just and really would like to see the expressway be put forward. But I just a little bit of a conflict of interest. I personally really disappointed about the expressway put forward, and that's a bit of disclosure before I want to talk about just the other couple of things, which were principally about children and road safety. I think a bit about the Heathcote-Linwood relationship, and a little bit about Linwood High School. So the only way in and out of Heathcote is this gauntlet of expressways, and going through Ferry Road and then going out through Wall Street, and neither are child friendly, and even the Ferry Roadway is in the way in order to access Linwood, or for people from Linwood or East Christchurch to access Heathcote, is similarly a long route and still not very friendly to children. And if I think about those roads, and I went and rode them and longboarded them recently, and they're covered in stones and trucks go past, and for children who can easily make a mistake on roads, I think it's like for a parent it's a terrifying prospect to moving around the city with children. And I personally really love dragging my children out for a cycle, despite their protests that they're going to die or that they hate cycling and never want to do this again. But all those, I think it's a great time to connect with families, for families to connect with their children. I love to go to school, take my children to school, and I personally have great memories about cycling. I grew up in Taupō, and I personally have great memories of cycling from my home to Tauhara High School, and they built a beautiful big expressway in the 80s, for people to cycle along. And I remember being very envious about kids cycling to school on the day of Cyclone Bowler, and really envious about that they got to do that, but instead I got dropped off by my parents in the car. So that's the point I wanted to make about sort of road safety. And I think, like, in my 2 children, I've got a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old, and the 7-year-old has some learning problems and some big problems with his attention. And I just think that he wouldn't cope with any of those roads as they are. And I'd really love to see him do that. And I think that there's, so I have I work in child mental health, and I just think that I just think of those kinds of children, both in Heathcote but also in East Christchurch, where it's just a bit more, there's a greater level of deprivation in that. And I think that there's so much that Heathcote has to offer, that area of Christchurch can access, such as the gondola and the Ferrymead Heritage Park. There's just great things on offer, and they're for children and families. And a cycleway is a great way for children and families to connect. So I guess so that's a bit about the Heathcote-Linwood relationship that I wanted to talk about. And then I think the bit about Linwood High School is that, it's a process on to enhance itself, and I think, lots of rules are talking about schools and things like that. But I'd really like to think that my children could go there, and I'd like to think more about that. But I'd like my children to be able to cycle there and access it like that in a safe route. And I think potentially for people who don't live in that East Christchurch, I think that something like a cycle route would enhance our thoughts about the Linwood High School. And I think there's just so much to be gained from those experiences. My experiences of biking to school have steered me and have shaped me. I really love cycling now, and I think it's a great thing. So those are the key things I want to see about the Heathcote Expressway.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Very clear indeed. Look, thank you very much, and thank you for going to all of the trouble, one, to make the submission, but to come in person and to reinforce the messages. Thank you.
Okay.